I'm sitting here in the boring room. It's just
All right. Hello, everyone. This is your host, Ryan. Welcome to the Credentialed Podcast. This is our first ever podcast. So I'm really excited to kick this off. Really talking a little bit about, why we're doing this and, what to expect from the Credentialed Podcast. And also, I think it's a good chance to get to know a little bit more about me, your host, Ryan, who is recently based in Portland, Oregon. So I think I just want to start talking a little bit about why we're doing this, right? And I know everybody right now is spending some time doing something, right? You could be driving, you could be, sitting in a train, a subway, community work. There are always time for you to learn something, always time for you to reflect on yourself and your life and what you have done as a person. So I think this is a really good platform to start a podcast to really share information and share our findings, in the industry of sports. And I would also like to build a lot of synergy between, the people that are around me, try to create that collective efforts to, to collaborate, to share and to work on things together and build a relationship. On the other side of it, I always wanted to give back to the community where I benefited a lot. I learned so much by listening to podcasts, by, learning about different content, learning about other people's story. And I wanted to do something similar. I wanted to help other people to become successful. At least they get something that they can benefit from. And another side of it, for me, coming from the other side of the world, I was able to get inspired by so many people around me. And I wanted to create that same synergy, want to create that same benefits for people that are around me. I wanted to continue to inspire and motivate young people. And that's one of the goals of the Credentialed Podcast too. So really excited about this, excited about this long process. And also I wanted to talk about what to expect in this podcast. So this podcast is going to be a bilingual podcast. For me, I am a Chinese descent. I was born and raised in China. So we're going to talk a lot of content in Chinese, as there is a lot of demand over there and people are interested to hear about, what I've seen in the United States and how our life looks like and what's your perspective, in terms of different sports, what's happening in the sports industry, what's happening in the sports world. And on the other side of it, I'm going to talk a lot about topics in English regarding the NBA. For me, I have a background in business and analytics. So I also have a background in sports management. So I'm really trying to combine both of those two skills together to create some content regarding analyzing, the data from different NBA teams, understanding, why they're successful or why they're struggling. And I'm also going to conduct a lot of interviews with the NCAA athletes, NBA athletes, and tennis athletes, either it's professional, college. I have a lot of friends that are athletes. I want to give them the opportunity, to come to the podcast to share about their experience, what they do day to day, and, what is their aspirations and what's their inspirations to people around them. And we're also going to have a program. It's called Reporter for Reporter, R&R. So basically I'm going to connect, with different reporters from different cities, especially from those NBA teams, to let them talk about, how they think about their teams, what are those insights they're able to see from, going to the game by, sitting very next to the players, next to the coaches. How do they see their team growing and developing in this new season? And the very last section that we're probably going to talk about, it's going to be a lot of tennis related content as I'm a big tennis fan. We're going to be reacting to some of the tennis matches and maybe we're going to go to somewhere to watch tennis and record the episode regarding, different players in the professional world, or something in college tennis, right? And we're probably invite some guests, to talk with me, about different key events happening in the tennis world. So yeah, I think I talk a lot about, the show, why we're doing this, what to expect. And, for me, I have my bachelor in sports management from UT Austin, so Hook 'em Horns, Texas. Texas is always it's always my school. I was really surprised that, I was able to get that offer. When I was in China, it was one of the hardest schools to directly get in from China as an international kid. And after my bachelor's degree, I had my master's in business analytics. and from Southern Methodist University, where I lived in Dallas for 2 years. And I got my first job with Tencent China, which is one of the biggest Chinese, we call it Chinese ESPN, where I worked as a reporter for 5 years. I first based in San Antonio, and then I moved to Dallas, and I actually covered the Dallas Mavericks team. So right now I work for another Chinese media company called Migu Video. So they have the broadcasting rights in China, and I currently work for them, and I'm based in Portland, Oregon, to cover the Portland Trail Blazers. But I have another job, which is my full-time role. I work with in a label company, material science company, and we are specializing in the apparel and footwear market. So I'm really combining my skills and my passion from sports and analytics and data and communication, presentation. I'm really combining everything together, and I really feel I'm living my life right now, being able to, having some success in my job, in my day job, but also having a lot of fun, going to the Portland Trail Blazers game, meeting people out there, but also spending some time on the side, doing some podcasts, doing some video content to share more about what I do, what I've learned, and how I can help the people around me to become more successful. So we're really tying back to, the goal of this podcast and why we're doing this. We wanted to give back and share. I wanted to create a community where we are collaborative, we're working together. I'm helping you to solve your problem, and we're in this world, in this atmosphere. We feel like people need more care about each other, and we wanted to build a connection with everybody. That if you're interested in sports, and we're going to talk a lot in sports, and it's not only a game that you play, but also the way that you make friends, that you build connections, that you become a better version of yourself. And I always tell myself, something. I think it's really going to be worthwhile to everybody to hear from. It's life has no limits, and your limitation is your mind. And I wanted to use sports, and we're here to help you. Especially using sports, something that you're familiar with. We're here to help you to practice your mind and sharpen it. So this is our goal of the podcast. No matter what content we're talking about, we're trying to help you guys to sharpen your mind, to become a better version of yourself, and continue to develop and continue to become a better person. So then thank you guys so much for listening. This is our first ever The Credentialed Podcast, and I look forward to interact with you guys more. I'm really excited to kick this off. Feel free to comment and subscribe to our content. Thank you. Bye.
I'm waiting for you, but nothing ever happens. And I wonder, I'm driving around in my car. I'm driving too fast, I'm driving too far.